amazing percentile. And of course would be definitely troubling you with a lot of questions today, since the session is live. In case any of you wishes to ask us any question, please go ahead and do that. So Chandan has been with us for a couple of months now, right, Chandan, if I'm not wrong, and has been preparing with us,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
now he'll be reaping the roots of his labor very soon. So Chandan, I've got a lot of questions for you for the day, but before that, again, I would firstly like to congratulate you on the amazing percentile that you have received.
Thank you
Chandan,
so
I
much,
think
ma'am.
I'll start off with the easiest question first. I think this is something that everyone must have asked you. That was what was the first feeling when you saw that, okay, this is gonna be my result?
Um, I guess like I was very tense because I still remember, although I had the tentative score with me, the moment I was opening up the website, my heart was still beating really fast. So I guess I would say it was more excitement rather than anxiety at that point. I was really excited to see what's going to happen.
Chandan, did you predict this percentile for yourself?
Uh, so I had an idea of what my raw score would be, and judging by the YouTube estimates from all of the other coaching institutes, I had a fair share of idea that it would be something like 98 or like a 99 percentile. So yeah, I had a fair idea that I did well in the exam.
And if I have to ask you that, when did you start preparing for the XAT examination? If you could just tell us a little about that.
So for that specifically, I would say I started preparing in like the second or the third week of December. And I did that because I had a lot of other exams to prepare for, like IIFT and SNAP, and then that was at the end. Uh, I personally felt that the syllabus for that wasn't a lot different from that of CAT, so I didn't feel like the need to separately prepare for it before December.
Perfect. And if I have to talk about all the management exams, I'm pretty much sure that you were already preparing for most of them. So that would not have appeared, I'd say, a lot more different than what you were expecting. Was that the case? Was there
Uh,
anything which was a little different?
no, ma'am. I think any aspirant who's preparing for CAT should pretty much be covered, even for that for the most part. I guess the one new section in this exam is decision making, but personally, I feel if a person invests about 2 weeks, I think that should be more than enough to get a gist of the section and what it demands from you.
Perfect. So Chandan, before moving on to the section-wise strategies, could you throw us a little light on the overall strategy that you took over for the examination?
Yeah, sure. So basically, what I did was, I had 6 months with me. I didn't do anything specifically separate, different for that. I had like a 6 month schedule for myself where I had decided, okay, that in this month, this is what I'm going to do. And coming to my daily activities, the previous night, I would just make a to-do list for myself. And then I wouldn't go by the hours that I need to put in this many hours. I would just say that, okay, I need to do this, this, and this today. That's how I would go about my preparation.
And how many times did you really, I mean, how many hours did you really dedicate to the preparation in a day?
Yeah, so since I don't have a job, since I'm just in college, I could end up giving it 8 hours more or less daily. So I had that advantage.
So I believe that for you, consistency and practice were the two keys that you took over for the last few months.
Yes,
And
definitely,
what
because yeah.
motivated you, Chandan? What was the real motivation behind putting in 8 dedicated hours to this kind of dedication?
I would just say that it's the fact that I wanted to have the best possible B school for myself. I mean, obviously, it makes sense. Whenever you're trying to do something, it makes sense to want to have the best thing for yourself. And that's pretty much what it was for me, at least.
And since we are on this topic of motivation, you'd say what was the motivation I mean, what was one of the points that triggered that?
One of the points that triggered it.
Chandan, I think I'm gonna, yeah, I'll ask you the question again. I hope the question was clear to you.
Yeah, the video was lagging a bit, I think, but I think I still got the
Yeah,
question.
I'll quickly share it with you again. I mean, what was the motivation behind picking up MBA or a good B school? I mean, what triggered this thought in your mind?
So the thought of an MBA, it triggered in my mind when I was having this conversation with someone who works at IUCL, and this happened during my second year. And while I was talking to him, I was still confused whether I want to opt for GATE or I want to opt for placements or something else. I still hadn't decided. But then when I was talking to him, he told me, as someone who's working in IUCL, that the career growth that you will have, it's not really reliant as much on your communication skills, which I personally think is my strong suit. And when I realized that this is something that I can't really leverage to my own benefit, I was like, I need to make a change. And MBA seemed like a really good fit for that. So that's why I opted for an MBA.
And do you feel that, or should I rephrase? So communication skills you count as your best suit, right, out of all. So how did you prepare for the communication skills? Was there anything that you'd like to share with all of us?
Sure. I mean, for me, I was a part of my college's oratory club. So I would always participate in group discussions, debates, and I would also participate in the intra-college events that would be there. So just participating in a lot of things, I would say. Just going out there and practicing.
Okay, perfect. So maybe, I think this is something that we also usually share with all of our students, that you should keep usually get, because all these extracurricular activities, they build your, not just your persona, but when it comes to your other skills also, your soft skills and of course your hard skills. So it's like a blend of both. Perfect. Chandan, last year in the last years now, I should count, since COVID has already taken over a couple of years now. So anything that the lockdown had on the preparation that you were up to?
Uh, I would say that if anything, the lockdown worked towards my own benefit. Because I was back at home, I had my parents to help me out with a lot of other stuff that I would have to worry about myself if I were in college. But now I had my parents to help me, and I basically had a lot more time that I could devote to my preparation. So if anything, I would say that the lockdown was a benefit for me.
Perfect. And okay, let's come back to the examination now. So I think all of us would love to know, what was the toughest section as per your understanding? I mean, for you, which one was the toughest section?
Or for me, I would have to say it was definitely quants. Definitely quants. It's just something that's one of my weaker sections.
And what were the strategies that you took for all these sections? If we could just come on them one after the other.
Sure. So you basically have 165 minutes with you for the first section, and there's three sections. There's decision making, there's verbal, and then there's quants. Now, for me, my strong suit was verbal. So the way that I went through the exam was I picked up my weakest section first and my strongest section towards the end, because I would like my exam to get easier as I go through it, not harder as I go through it. So I started off my exam with quants, and I would give it 60 minutes in the first round. I would have 2 rounds of quants. So in the first round, I would give it 60 minutes, pick up all of the questions that I think I can do. At least, so whenever, talking about quants specifically, when I would look at a question, if I can see the roadmap of how I need to go about this question to get to the solution, then I would pick it up, or else I would leave it for the second round. And then I would do this for the first 60 minutes. And then for the next section, I would pick up verbal ability. I would go about solving all of the non-RC questions first, so that I start building up my momentum, because now I'm just getting into my groove. So I pick up the easy non-RC questions, And then at the end, I would attempt all of the RC questions together. And then lastly, decision making. I would spend, by the way, on verbal, I would spend more or less 40 to 45 minutes. That was enough for me to attempt the entire section. And for decision making, my time would usually hover anywhere between 30 to 35 minutes. And I feel like decision making is mostly, you don't even have to think a lot about it. It's very fun if you think about it. So decision making for me personally was actually a break from the entire exam. And then with whatever time I had left, I would come back and spend it all on the quants questions.
Yeah. But Chandan, though decision making is one of the fun activities that you have on the XAT examination, that is also one of the sections which also takes you away, because when a person starts understanding or reading the questions, he gets a lot more involved in the question than he or she should actually be. So I think, yes, it's a fun activity, but then some people just get carried away into them, and then they start understanding the depths of the question, and the time is gone. Definitely.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing all these. Can you just tell me a little about the essay portion also, which was though unexpected, but was declared at the last moment?
Yes, sure. So I personally didn't really prepare for the essay section because um, even in my college activities, I'd been part of several clubs as the editor. So I used to dabble in content writing more or less from time to time. So I didn't really have a lot of trouble with that. Yeah, I personally did not prepare for that. But I would suggest, like, if you're not comfortable with writing content and knowing how these things usually work, maybe devote like 5 days before the exam just to get a hang of it.
Perfect. So yes, I can definitely understand because of the activities. That's what we were just discussing earlier also, that if you keep participating in all these activities which are related to, say, your extracurricular in terms of clubs, societies, and a lot more, you get to learn a lot of things. It not just builds up on your persona, but it also helps you out in all these things. For example, it helped Chandan with the writing skills, of course, for sure. Perfect, Chandan. Chandan, when it comes to all of these sections, how much time would you say that the syllabus, you should be completing the syllabus in, say, 8 months, 6 months, or something?
I personally wouldn't say that there's an ideal time for this. I mean, you just have to work with whatever time you have because I guess the advantage would be like the earlier you start, the better it is for you because then the workload would be less for you. So yeah, you just have to work with whatever time you have, and the earlier you start, the better it is going to be for you.
Perfect. And Chandan, how many mocks would you say would help you out while dealing with the XAT preparation?
So I think if a candidate has been diligently preparing for CAT, they probably would have given a lot of mocks for CAT itself. And by the time you get to that, people pretty much have like a good idea of their strengths and weaknesses. And the only challenge at that point is realizing what's different about that, and what change in your strategy you need to make specifically for that. And if you can do that in 1 or 2 mocks, that's great. You don't need to give a lot of mocks. I personally ended up giving, I think 5 or maybe 6 mocks because I thought I was really comfortable with my strategy by the third mock, and I only gave the other 3 mocks just so that I didn't lose my edge of sitting there for 3 hours and start getting fatigued. That's the only reason I gave them.
Probably that was also because you were already preparing for a lot of other examinations. So you already knew the syllabus, you had a good hold on the basics, and you were already prepped up for all these examinations. So probably, these set of mocks really helped you out. And Chandan, what was your exam day strategy, if I have to ask that?
So my exam day strategy was, um, okay, so the day before, I pretty much just had fun, did nothing. Uh, I was with my best friend, so that was good. That helped me out, just relax. And even on the day of the exam, I went in with the thinking that my decide by this point has already been decided for me. Even before I start the exam, I feel like my score has actually been decided because of the effort that I put in, because of my conditioning, because of everything else. Now all I need to do is just sit here for the next 3 hours and just let all of the stuff that's in me just let it come out.
That is, yeah, definitely a very subjective topic for that matter, but yes, it works a lot. Chandan, if you have to share a couple of strategies, although you've shared a lot of things in the last few minutes, but if you still have to share a couple of strategies with the upcoming XAT aspirants, what would they be?
So do you want me to go section wise, or
That
just
would
some
help.
general
Actually,
advice?
section wise would be actually beneficial for all of us.
Sure. So for verbal, I would say that because in XAT you have 5 options instead of 4, eliminating the other options become even more crucial. So definitely eliminate as many options as you can in that. For decision making, I would say that again, eliminating options is key. And the strategy that I personally used and that worked out well for me was, if I could get to a point in a question where I can reach to the last 2 remaining options, I would just go with the 50-50 and go with my gut feeling. This is something that worked out for me. It may not work out for you. So this is something that you're going to have to figure out by giving several mocks. And quant, I would suggest pick up with the questions that you know. If you can see the roadmap of solving a question, only then pick it up, or you could just then come back to it later and come back at the same question in round 2.
How about general awareness?
But general awareness. Okay, so what I personally did for that was I would read the newspaper daily and also a lot of articles on current affairs and whatnot. So I feel like that was enough for me. In all of the mocks that I gave, I did pretty well in the GK section without having prepared for it separately. So sure, if you have the time for it, you can invest the time and energy into learning the GK things. But I think it's much more crucial for you to be in a better mental state by the time you get to the exam. So yeah, I think I personally did not spend a lot of time in GK because I felt like it was giving me marginal returns for my effort. But that's just my way of thinking.
And one tip, I know that you have done really well on the XAT writing assessment also, but in case you have to instruct the others or if you have to give tips for that, what would that be?
I think the only thing that you can do is, I guess, come up with the more ongoing topics, and then try to write down your viewpoints on them. Like maybe create an argument for or against the topic, and then present it in an essay format. I think that should help you out to structure your thoughts.
Were you surprised by looking at the category of questions that you got on the XAT writing, or were they comfortable for you?
Yeah, so I wasn't surprised at all. They were really generic topics. I didn't think anyone had to really keep up with the current affairs or anything like that. So yeah, those were really general topics. If you've been reading enough, I think you would have enough knowledge to be able to write a good essay.
Perfect. And Chandan, last but not the least, what would be that one guru mantra that you would like to share with all the students altogether?
So I would say that just focus on the things that you can control. Whatever's going to happen on the day of your exam, it'll be a result of a multitude of different factors. And a lot of them are going to be the factors that you probably cannot control. And I see so many people worrying about these things all the time. So just keep this in mind. You can't control a lot of things, but there are certain things that you can control, and that's all you need to focus on. Just have faith in yourself, believe in your preparation, believe in the hard work that you put in, and sooner or later, it's going to come to fruition.
So I think I'm going to summarize it for all of us. So hard work, preparation, prepare well, understand the questions. I think Chandan got it pretty well because he was also preparing for most of the other examinations also. Apart from that, whatever you have learned, whatever you studied for the last few months, be it the mock test that you are giving, be it the GK series that you've been watching, be it whatever preparation in terms of the entire examination, believe in yourself. Understand that the questions would not come out as a surprise to you, but if you've prepared for them well, you will definitely get what you've learned. So, Chandan, anything that you would like to add in the end?
Uh, no, I think I've said a lot of things. I think I've covered all of the things that I wanted to say.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Chandan, for spending out so many minutes with all of us, helping out the other ZAT aspirants to understand not just the pattern, but also understanding the key tips and tricks which are required. Again, tips when it comes to tips, tricks, the way of taking up the examination or anything else, it is different for different people. But yes, whatever Chandan has scored and whatever his tricks have been, I think it will definitely be fruitful for a lot of our students. So thank you so much, Chandan, again from the entire team of on behalf of the entire team of Hitbullseye. I'll definitely congratulate you again, and all the
I,
best for all the future endeavors that you have. Thank you
thank
so
you
much,
so
Chandan.
thank you so much for having me, ma'am. It was
Take
a
care.
pleasure and an honor to be here.
So
Thank you so much.
likewise on that part. Take care, Chandan. Thank you.